Ben Boulware, the old Clemson linebacker, won the national championship in 2016. He said what about Dabo? Towards Dabo? Oh, no. Toilets are flushing backwards. I'm going to get into that in just a second. Hey, I'm Brian. I'm not Bobby Durkins, at least not here. Who knows which one's the act? But I appreciate you joining me for this. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. It helps the channel. And yeah, it costs you nothing. If you also want to support on a monthly basis, hit the not the subscribe button. There's a join button below the video. You may not see it if you're on an Apple device. I do appreciate it. By the way, it's really cheap. You won't even notice it. So, Ben Boulware was on Clemson's flagship station this week, The Roar. And if you live in the upstate of South Carolina, you know The Roar. I'm not affiliated with, they're not affiliated with me. This is neither a bad thing nor a good thing. I'm just stating that. I have to state that. Trust me. But he was on The Roar this week. And he addressed a comment, his disagreement with a comment that Dabo Swinney made about this current team that is, 3-2 overall, 1-2 in the conference. They just beat Syracuse. This is on Saturday, just, 30 minutes after Clemson just beat Syracuse. A team that has questionable offensive coaching at the position level. I'm not talking about Garrett Riley. I'm talking about a bunch of first-year guys coaching a major college football program at the position level. The vast majority of them has never held a position like this before, but there's a bunch of them. It's not like we gave one a chance. We have one. Anyway, but Swinney said that this team, and I think he was talking about I don't know if he was talking about the players, whatever it was, said it reminded him a lot of the 2016 season. And this is what Ben Boulware said. And I'll just read it. So this is, I'll put the link of this article below this video. You can read it for yourself. I'm putting it in the chat right now. You can read it for yourself. So, this is Curtis. This is on the tigernet.com. Boulware, a member of the 2016 team, saw in a group chat this week and wasn't having it. He's talking about a comment that he heard that Swinney said. This is Boulware speaking. I'll never speak bad about Coach Swinney ever till the day I die because he's elite and an incredible man and coach. That's fine. Dude is just freaking awesome. That's perfectly fine. I saw where Swinney tried to compare this team to the 2016 team. And that the 2016 team stunk, but was luckier than this version of the Tigers. I'm just like, dude, I love you, Swinney. And I know I'm not in that locker room, but come on. The 2016 team would whoop this team right now. We would freaking wipe our butts with this freaking team right now. So I saw that quote and I was like, dude, there's no way. We're not even in the same spectrum as this team. I love Swinney. He's got to do damage control. Obviously, being the head coach and say we're a couple of plays away, and maybe we are. I watched the entire game Saturday, but obviously I'm not in the film room and knowing exactly what plays are going to go on. But come on, dude. They're not the freaking 2016 team. I know we lost to Pitt, but we had some dogs on that team. First rounders, dudes that are still in the NFL. Someone sent me that Dabo Swinney says this team compares to that 2016 team. And I'm like, no, they don't. No, they freaking don't. Now, he goes on to talk, and you can read the rest of the article for yourself. I'm not leaving out anything that I've read so far that would change me needing to continue reading. You need to go read it for yourself. Normally, right here, I would ask the question to everyone and go, is Boulware wrong? But somewhere in here, and by the way, if you haven't seen this video, Bobby Durkins, my alter ego, hence not Bobby Durkins, last week drank Dabo Swinney sweat. Why did he drink Dabo sweat? Because obviously Bobby is not a fan, he's a cult member, meaning that it doesn't matter what happens with the Clemson football team. You just love the team. No, you love the team, but what that means is that you can't criticize, you can't objectively criticize the team. You can't say, we're not as good as we used to be. We're not, folks. We're not. I'm sorry. Well, few more things. What was a few more things that needed to go our way in the Duke game? We rushed for 200, we passed for 200, and we lost by 3 scores. We didn't lose by a walk-off score. We didn't lose by a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. We lost by 3 touchdowns. Last week, we got out-coached on the defensive side of the ball. We out-coached ourselves. We have incredible players, but the team is not near as good as it is. But I'm not asking that question. Boulware is right. And then people going after him going, hey, you can't bite the hand that feeds you. I bet you're a company yes man, aren't you? Yes men are very dangerous, folks. Yes men will yes you all the way into the grave. If you look through history and you find a leader who had a yes man around him, it was always to his detriment. And Boulware sitting there, hey, I get you might be trying to motivate the team, but I'm sorry. I get you've got to do what you got to do, but if we played this team now, we'd murder you. Folks, I watched that 2016 team. I want you to pause right now in your mind and create a scenario where that 2016 team played this Clemson team right now. They'd win by at least 3 scores. It would be bad. Terrible. It would be awful. And that's not because we have less than talent. I do think that team was more talented. But I believe a lot of it goes to player development and coaching scheme. But if they played that team right now, they get their heads. I mean, they get ripped out. That was a once in a lifetime team. That was incredible. Ben Boulware is right. He's right. And let's talk about that. You can love someone and disagree with them. I have people text me, call me, send me private messages going, hey, man, we like you and stuff. We support your channel. But I just don't agree with you. Okay, that's fine. I'm not going to take my ball and go home. If we disagree, we disagree. That's fine. That's part of being a civilization. You can disagree with someone and not have to burn down the neighborhood. Now, if I started attacking someone personally and it's like, it like gets rough and it gets really, really bad, that's not okay. Ben Boulware was on that team that gave us our first national championship since 1981. 35 years it took Clemson to get back to a national championship. He knows. He knows, my friend. He knows. He knows more than any of us ever knows. He's right. That team was full of dogs. They walked out on the field against this Clemson team. they would murder them. They were fast, they were powerful, they were ruthless, and they had fun doing it. This Clemson team, and I'm glad they won today, do they look like they're having fun? No. They look like they're trying to figure it out. They're still shell-shocked. Duke beat you by 3 touchdowns. That's the end of the story. Great. 200 on the ground, 200 in the air. Had the ball 11 more minutes, had 12 more first downs. You lost by 21 flipping points. And that was your first game. You had all of the offseason to focus on winning that game. Folks, they don't look anything like that 2016 team. Eric Schotts makes a great comment, and I'm going to put this in here. Heart, no heart like that team. But the comment, there it is. No way this offensive line could block that front seven. Could you imagine that front seven coming after this offensive line? I would drive down to Clemson. I live a little around an hour away from Clemson. I would drive to Clemson right now. Find Cade Klubnik. Kidnap him so he wouldn't have to play against them because I care for him. That's how bad they would beat him into the ground. They would beat him into a wheelchair. There's no comparison. Ben Boulware is right. John Seton, you're right. When Deshaun Watson took the field, you knew we were going to score, period. No way to compare that feeling to this. You remember the Bostic boys at Clemson? You remember they were at that national championship game, and Deshaun Watson got the ball with what, 2:15 left, something like that? And they looked at each other and said, there's enough time. I remember at post-game, they were talking about that. Someone interviewed them and said, how does it feel to be, watch your alma mater win the national championship, and finally do this and beat Bama. It's a big deal. Bama couldn't be beat. Everybody talks about it, but they couldn't do it. Clemson did it twice on the biggest stage possible. And they said they looked at one another and they said, and it might have been Steve Fuller too. It might have been Steve Fuller was there with them too. But there's an interview where they talked about this. So we looked at each other and went, oh, there's time. And Sean Watson drove them down the field. We know what happened. The pass out to Hunter for a national championship. I don't know about you, but when it was 24-14, with the Syracuse game that just ended, and I started seeing Clemson putt around, and I started seeing Syracuse start to gain a little steam, I started going, oh no. You rarely felt that with the Deshaun Watson-led 2016 team. Ben Boulware is right. You can criticize someone you love and have respect for, who has even helped you. That was that. If, and I'm going to put it this way, if not only Swinney, but if any of us are so fragile that we couldn't take the comments that Ben Boulware made, then we might need to check ourselves into a mental institute, because something much worse is going to knock us off our pedestal and need to put us in a padded room. That comment was not bad. He was right. So Ben Boulware was respectful, he was honest, and he was respectfully honest. That's all I can say. I agree with him. Clemson football, listen to me. I love my team. Been pulling for them forever. They have been on a downslide downhill since after that national championship in 18. That first year after it, we really didn't notice it. We didn't know what was going on. We just thought we got bested by LSU, but I said, something's not right. And then after that, people were living in denial. I think more and more people right now are having to accept the truth. The good old days of Clemson are salvageable, but at this point, they're over because we have talent and we're still losing games we shouldn't lose. We shouldn't have lost last week. Florida State is good. They're not great. Clemson has more talent on the football team than Florida State does. Josh Pate did that whole series two or 3 months ago where he showed how many blue chip players each team has. Clemson was in the top 5. Florida State wasn't even in the top 15. Clemson has more talent, more depth across the board. Clemson lost that game. Duke bested us by 3 touchdowns. This is not a talent issue with Clemson on the field. It's in the coaching staff. We know that. You know it. We all know that. Folks, you take care of yourself. I hope that you will subscribe. It's free. Hit the thumbs up. It's free. If you want to join on a monthly basis, there is a join button below the video. If you're on an iPhone, you might not see it, but it's $3 or $5 per month. The only difference is whether you want to support $3 per month or $5 per month. I do appreciate it. Thank you all for coming on here. Hey, Ben, I feel you, man. I feel you. You can love someone, respect them, and criticize them in a gentle or in a civil way, and he did that, and I see nothing wrong with it. I just see a bunch of yes men coming after him going, you shouldn't show more respect. Yeah. Yes men are very dangerous. Yes men, to me, is probably one of the worst things you could have around you other than some type of terminal disease. So, got to be careful about that. Folks, thank you. I'll see you next time. Go Tigers.